Hello everyone and welcome back, and if you're new here, I'm DarkHour717. Today we're going to be looking at the patch 317 that's currently in PTU. Namely, the changes that we are seeing as well as the concerns and why I would consider this probably the biggest ugly duckling of a patch for the game. Before we get started though, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button as I continue to reach for that 5,000 subscriber mark. It really helps me with getting the videos out there to more people through the YouTube algorithm. And thank you to all of those that have already subscribed. Also stick around till the end of the video to see how you can get entered for a chance to win a Logitech X52 HOTUS. Patch 317 released to Wave 1 on March 30th. The first thing to note about the initial release was the fact that CIG put out a disclaimer or warning about the patch stating, "The build we are rolling out is quite unstable and suffers from a variety of performance issues. We're going to put this one out regardless in an effort to capture or monitor needed data. In short, this build will not be for the faint of heart." This is an unusual statement to be released with a patch for sure, but it was absolutely no understatement. The statement itself is an unusual thing to see, but on top of that, the patch was pushed at a strange hour. This really led to the belief that there were some very serious and major issues occurring, and they really required the most amount of data to really pin the problems down. This actually started in an almost week-long time period of barely being able to get logged in. Issues were widespread, including infinite load screens, stalling entities, inability to spawn a ship, missing functionality within the game like elevators, stalled black screens on death, and so much more. For the most part, the patch was in a bad state, but in some degree, you may have been lucky enough to get in and be able to check out some of the new features. That following Friday on the 1st of April, an update was pushed that took bad to worse and just completely turned the PTU into an unplayable wreck. This patch took the bad and amped it up to 100% and increased the number of players that could not even access the PTU due to the previously mentioned issues. This continued through till the following Tuesday when we did get an updated patch that finally started to turn things around, though still was released with the disclaimer that it was not expected to make a large difference. But a difference we did see. And the improvements continued through the remainder of last week to what we have now, which is hard to believe that it's the same test patch. We now have a patch that is not perfect in any way, but so vastly improved that they've actually now opened it up to all backers. With this turnaround in performance and experience, I want to go through why I call this the ugly duckling of patches in Star Citizen, and why I feel 317 is actually going to likely become a huge step forward in the development of this amazing game. First and foremost are the ships. Patch 317 is going to introduce the Hull A. This is the first in a line of economy-changing ships. The Hull A is the smallest of the series, and though originally concepted to have 48 SCU of cargo space, it did get a bump up to 64 SCU of cargo space. This I feel was definitely necessary for it to have a slight edge above ships like the Drake Cuddy Black, as the whole series truly is a one-trick pony and only usable for cargo hauling. But the whole series I call an economy changer due to the Hull A, even though only 64 SCU, is the first of a series that will reach cargo capacities of near 100,000 SCU. And that will actually be with the Hull E. Even the Hull C, which is the mid-level, has a cargo capacity far above and beyond what we have available today at 4,608 SCU. The Hull A so far in testing is a great ship for those that enjoy cargo trading on a small scale, and I will not be surprised if we see this get turned into a starter pack. Another part of the patch we see with the ships is the long-awaited inclusion of a number of ships for in-game purchase. 317 brings in the Aegis Redeemer, the Drake Cuddy Steel, the Consolidated Outland Hoverquad, the Argo Raft, the Anvil Spartan, and the long-awaited Origin 400i. These ships have definitely stretched time length from flyable state to the in-game purchasable state. Though we still do not see the A2 or Ares available, this is a great group of offerings for in-game purchase. And with the questionable pledge cost of the Cuddy Steel, a much better option to grab this variant specifically. We are also seeing increases to the hull HP of the Drake Cutlass series, which will be a much needed change. Another major advancement with 317 is going to be refueling. This is going to be huge moving forward as we get closer to the launch of Pyro. Currently in Stanton, there really is no shortage of available fuel stops. But as we get closer to the release of the Pyro system, the need for this resource is only going to get bigger. The addition of refueling not only provides another aspect of immersion, but really is a stepping stone in the creation of more in-depth exploration. Ships that will be traveling into the Pyro system will not be able to find fuel or safe rest stops the same as they would in Stanton. And a solo or org-based Starfarer owner can make profit and have a gameplay loop through this new feature. The process of refueling is truly only in its beginning stages, as we do know that more in-depth control is later to come, such as different boom arms, nozzles, and droppable fuel tanks. Another point of view in refueling, of course, will be the eventual piracy side. With the ability to overtake or destroy a Starfarer and steal its fuel pods, utilizing it for their own use or for monopolizing an area with high fuel costs. Refueling is also a step towards the ships like the Vulcan, which are going to specialize in repair and refueling on the military front. It is the first step in an interesting and immersive feature that I really look forward to where it's going to go from here. The next thing I'll bring up is the loot generation and sellable loot. In patch 3.15, we saw the introduction of looting and loot generation in the derelicts and other areas. While this was a great new feature and fun at first, it really was not a long-term exciting addition. I quickly lost interest in finding loot crates and seeing what was in them, as usually it just sat in my inventory or really was not worth grabbing. Well, I will admit with patch 3.17 this has really all changed. 3.17 now introduces the ability to sell any items that you do find or buy in-game with the exception of ships, meaning this can be a way to earn, at least even on a small scale, AUEC for yourself. Prices for items you're selling will vary based on stock quantities and whether the shop you're selling at carries that item or not. But this first step in selling is really the beginning of getting to the point where in-game ships that we purchase can also be sold or traded in towards other ships that you want to get in-game. Let's face it, we've all made in-game purchases that we end up regretting or not enjoying, and now these items will not be just stuck in your inventories and unusable, and we will actually not be out the AUEC that we spent on them. Though we will sell for a loss, it will allow you to not have to dig through so much to find what you want. The other aspect of this, of course, what good is selling if you're not finding useful items to sell? In 3.17, the loot generation has upped the ante for sure. Where prior to 3.17, we may find a single helmet or a single gun or some harvestables, most things discovered were not worth really grabbing and only usable in a pinch if you were without a weapon or something like that. Now in 3.17, with what looting we have done in the PTU, the finds have been amazing. A large majority of loot boxes we're finding are packed to the brim, though there are still some harvestables, but on top of that, we're also finding a large number of guns, ammo, armor pieces, medical supplies, food and drinks, and surprisingly, we've even found piles of Hadanite and Dolovine hidden in loot boxes that have been sellable for as much as 50,000 AUEC. With the changes in looting, we will also see the addition of rarity in-game for items. As mentioned on Star Citizen Live, rarity is not going to determine the power or strength of the item, just its overall availability. With 3.17, we have seen the removal of a number of items from the shops from around Stanton, and certain ones will need to be found through the looting system. These items will be placed through the verse based on geographical location and the likelihood that they would be in use in that area. Also announced with 3.17 is the placement of subscriber flare throughout Stanton in loot boxes. This was always the goal, to have these available to non-subscribers through a system of exclusivity for subscribers for about 90 days from release, and then these items would be available in-game, though not generally easy to get. So as of 3.17, we will see all pre-2022 subflare now available in different looting areas across the game. And that will bring us to the mining gadgets. Patch 3.17 expands on the current gameplay loop of mining by introducing 5 new mining gadgets into the system. Of course, mining in the verse is probably the most developed gameplay loop there is, and currently and continues to be a favorite of many and an excellent way to make AUEC. This helps expand that gameplay by increasing the ability to really not be hampered by the size of a rock that would be profitable. This feature seems more geared toward the solo miner using a prospector than the multi-crew capabilities of the mole. Though as time goes on and we get closer to the introduction of the large Orion mining vessel, I would imagine we're going to eventually see rocks or asteroids that are going to be more difficult or even a mole to break with the combined power of its 3 mining turrets. The gadgets themselves have similar effects to the modules that we currently use, and add on top of what those provide to make the capabilities of something like the Prospector be able to go after the larger rocks. I'll actually cover in detail each of the modules and its effects in a mining video separately though. But these newest additions to mining will really make it possible for prospectors to really not have to pass on rocks that are bigger than 6,000 mass. With effects ranging from changes in resistance, stability, and increase in the OptiCharge window, these tools will benefit all miners in the pursuit of earnings and maximizing the number of rocks available to mine. The gadgets themselves, though higher in initial cost, starting at about 13,000 AUEC and as high as almost 28,000 AUEC, will pay for themselves as they are mostly reusable as long as you do not overcharge the rock you're mining. The payout though is not without risk, as you are going to have to depart your ship to place them on and tune them to the rock that you're mining. This of course introduces the risk of injury being outside your ship or on possibly an inhospitable surface, or while in EVA in an asteroid field and going through the void of space. And of course, there's always piracy. And we know that piracy definitely targets miners. It really introduces a risk-reward system to mining above what was already there through the selection of your mining location, and the possibility that you may encounter a pirate or some kind of hazard, and one that each player will have to take into consideration when planning their excursions. The last item I'm actually going to mention is the implementation of a portion of the quantum-controlled economy. This is the new system that is in control of eventually near everything in the game when fully implemented. It'll control the economy, the availability of certain items, when events will launch or run, and the overall basis of how the universe is going to function. Much like server meshing, we'll see this come into the verse slowly and piece by piece, but its effects on the gameplay will be vast. In 3.17, we see that a portion of this is being tested as we move closer to the cargo refactor and the economy refactor. The introduction of this is one of many steps to final completion and release of the game though many more factors will be involved with reaching that goal. This and server meshing are two major factors that play a large part in many other features and components within Star Citizen, and seeing this begin to get implemented is a great sign of things to come. Overall, 3.17 started out as an unplayable and absolute mess, but in the short time that it has been out in PTU, it has actually developed and turned into a sizable and very playable test patch with a lot of new and expanded features. I will admit I really lost a lot of hope for Star Citizen when after the initial release to PTU it seemed to have gone nowhere but downhill, but I'm actually relieved to say that this is nowhere near the condition it originally was and has truly surprised me in its transformation to an extremely fun and immersive experience that I'm excited to see go into the live. I hope you've enjoyed this overview of patch 3.17 and will enjoy it as much as I am now, especially that the issues seem largely taken care of. Remember to get your entries in for the YouTube exclusive giveaway of a Logitech X52 HOTAS. Just subscribe, leave a comment on any video and you're going to be automatically entered in, and the winner will be drawn on May 1st. Also, you can head over to Twitch and catch the stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and enter into our Twitch exclusive giveaways. This month, it's a Razer Nari Ultimate Wireless Headset. Just follow on Twitch and you'll automatically be entered in, and the winner will also be drawn on May 1st for that prize. If you would like to help support the channel, check out the Patreon or the merch store, as it's greatly appreciated and how we're able to give back to the community through our giveaways. You can also click the join button above and get a membership for as little as 99 cents per month. Thank you to everybody for checking out the video. Please be safe out there and we will catch you next time.